Hey everyone, my name is Stuart from SaleHoo. Is dropshipping dead? Well, let's talk about it. Dropshipping from China has been one of the most popular e-commerce business models of the past decade. But that might change. The US government is planning to back out of a 144-year-old deal that'll make it more expensive to ship from international destinations, including China. This means that every dropshipping business that relies on Chinese suppliers will be forced to pay a lot more for shipping. This is going to eat into dropshippers' profits and potentially make the whole business model unviable for sellers in the US. Dropshipping from China to the US might be about to end. But that doesn't mean that dropshipping as a business model is dead. Far from it. In fact, these changes might open up more opportunities for dropshippers in the United States. More on that later. But first, let's rewind and explain exactly what's going on and how it's going to impact you and your dropshipping business. In this video, I'm going to talk about the history of the USPS-China deal, why the USPS is ending cheap shipping from China, what this means for your dropshipping business, and 5 ways to prepare your dropshipping business. So way back in 1784, before dropshipping and e-commerce could even be imagined, the US and 21 other countries formed the Universal Postal Union, or UPU. It's an international treaty that made shipping between different countries cheaper and easier at the time. Today, it's possible to ship a small package from China to the US for less than it costs to ship some packages between some US states. And it's much cheaper to ship a package from China to the US than the other way around. This is why websites like AliExpress are so popular, and marketplaces like Amazon and eBay are so packed with Chinese products. There have been many examples of Chinese companies producing counterfeit and knockoff products which undercut some of the US business, aided by the cheap shipping costs. And partially for that reason, the US government announced that it was pulling out of the UPU in 2018. And it's worth noting that all this is happening within a US-China trade war, so feelings between the two countries are already tense. The idea behind the US leaving the UPU is that it'll level the playing field for international shipping and give US companies a better chance at competing on price with Chinese companies. To anyone who's built up a business selling or dropshipping goods from China, this news might come as a shock. But US businesses and media have been raising this issue for quite some time. There will be a lot of people who support this move by the US, and there are a lot of other people who will be worried about what it means for dropshipping. But it's not a done deal yet. The US has reportedly asked the UPU for permission to decide its own shipping subsidy levels. Either way, the US leaving the UPU or being allowed to set its own shipping subsidy rates will likely result in a similar outcome: the end of dirt cheap shipping from China. It's possible that the Chinese government will step in and subsidize shipping to the US itself. China is the world's largest manufacturing hub and has relied on shipping subsidies for more than a century. It may be worth more to China's economy to allow its companies to retain cheap shipping than to deal with the consequences of increased shipping costs. There's also the possibility of a change in government in 2020, which could reverse this whole thing. The whole thing is very much up in the air, so keep your eyes peeled. We've got an article on it, and I'll put that link in the description below, and we'll update that as the story develops. So what does this all mean for dropshipping businesses? I bet that's the question most of you want the answer to. The US leaving the UPU will have a wide range of effects on the entire international postal system, from sending letters and postcards to shipping large boxes of merchandise. But I'm going to focus on e-commerce, and most specifically, dropshipping. Since the US announced that it wanted to leave the UPU, there have been a lot of articles saying that dropshipping is dead. Let me be clear with you. Dropshipping is not dead. Dropshipping will continue to be a viable business model despite these new changes. If you're dropshipping in the US market and have US suppliers, you shouldn't be negatively affected at all. In fact, you probably have an advantage. And even if you are using Chinese suppliers, there are things you can do to prepare your business for the potential changes. So here's the worst case scenario. If the US does leave the UPU and China doesn't decide to step in and subsidize shipping, then the cost of dropshipping from China is going to increase. If the cost of shipping from China to the US increases, then dropshipping from China will be much more difficult. It might get chaotic for a while, but when the dust settles, the dropshipping businesses will change, adapt, and survive. And that's the worst case scenario. But it probably and hopefully won't be that bad. And even if it is, there are things you can do to give your dropshipping business the best chance of survival. So let's talk about how to prepare your dropshipping business. Number 1, use Chinese suppliers that have a US warehouse. Here's a little known fact. You don't have to ship products from China to work with Chinese suppliers. Many Chinese dropshipping suppliers and manufacturers have warehouses in the United States now. Companies like AliExpress are stocking up warehouses in the United States with bulk products and setting up a fulfillment service to compete with Amazon FBA. This was done so that Chinese suppliers can offer US customers faster shipping. So it's definitely possible to dropship products within the US from Chinese suppliers. However, not all Chinese suppliers have inventory and do order fulfillment in the US, so you'll have to do some digging. I expect, though, that this will become more common, especially if shipping from China becomes more expensive. Now, if you do dropship from a US warehouse, don't expect the prices to be quite as cheap as you're used to. You'll be absorbing the cost of shipping a product to the US and storing them in a warehouse. But prices will still be competitive, and you'll have the benefit of offering your customers faster shipping. You can start by simply searching USA warehouse or US warehouse on AliExpress and making contact with suppliers in your niche. And tip number 2 for preparing your dropshipping business: start using US suppliers. This is a great time to start thinking about using domestic product suppliers and manufacturers in the United States. There are a lot of US suppliers that offer dropshipping services. Of course, US suppliers won't be as cheap as Chinese suppliers, but you can charge a premium for made in USA products, and you'll have the benefit of faster shipping, which your customers will love. It's also easier to work closely with the supplier and develop a more personal relationship. We've got a whole article on SaleHoo.com about finding American dropship suppliers, and you can check that out in the description. Number 3 tip for preparing your dropshipping business: diversify your market. If anything, the proposed move by the US government to leave the UPU will reveal the problem of having all your eggs in one basket. If all of your customers are in the US, you're going to be hit hardest by these changes. Now's a good time to start diversifying your market. Yes, the US is a big market, but you should also look at selling into the United Kingdom, Europe, Australasia, and even parts of Asia. If you're running Facebook ads, you can experiment by targeting groups within those markets. If you can build a customer base in other countries, then you can simply continue to use your Chinese suppliers. At the very least, it'll buy you some time and income to figure out how to adjust your operations in the US to account for higher shipping costs. There's also less competition in these markets than the US, so your ad spend should be lower and your conversion rates might be higher. And tip number 4 for preparing your dropshipping business: renegotiate deals with Chinese suppliers. If cheap shipping from China really is over, but you're set on using your Chinese suppliers, you should try to negotiate a better deal for yourself. Chinese suppliers will be keen to hold on to valuable customers and may be open to dropping prices to account for higher shipping costs. We've got a link down below with tips for negotiating with suppliers, so check that out. Basically, you want to get the price per unit down so that the increased shipping costs won't eat into your profits too much. This might be tough to pull off for low-cost items, but you may be able to cover shipping costs entirely by negotiating lower rates for high-ticket products. And tip number 5 for preparing your dropshipping business: adopt a better business model. If you've been doing this for a while, you might want to try something different. For instance, buying bulk products at wholesale prices might be more viable. That way, you only pay for shipping whenever you place a large order. That may be once a month or only a few times a year. Once you've got bulk products in the US, you can offer customers better domestic shipping rates. This requires a greater investment of capital up front, but can result in higher profits. You'll also avoid having to pay higher shipping costs every time you sell an item, which would happen if you continue to dropship from China. You can check out our guide to different e-commerce business models in the description below. We've got a link there. So to wrap it up, dropshipping is here to stay. Being in business is all about being adaptable and responding to change. The potential end of cheap shipping from China will be a major change for a lot of dropshippers. But there's no reason to panic. Dropshipping is not dead. In fact, these changes could be better for dropshipping in the long run. More Chinese suppliers with US warehouses, more business for US dropshippers, more competition in the dropshipping space. This is all good news. But no matter what happens, make sure you prepare your dropshipping business for potential changes. That way, no matter what happens, you'll be fine. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and if you have ideas on how dropshippers can adjust their business models, or you have questions about this topic, leave us a comment down below. This is Stuart from SaleHoo, signing out.